Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Fenrick. I'm here today with Sask Music for 2026 Black History Month, and we're chatting with some of Saskatoon's most exciting Black musicians. And today we are here with Fiyin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, amazing. Like I said, I was going through the information on your website, and I've seen very clearly, I think, that faith is tied to almost every element of your life, like your family, your childhood, your identity, right? And so what does faith mean to you, though?
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's like not even like a music question. It's a really good question. Yeah, I think faith for me is just like how I live my life. So I always felt like, for me, it was like an actual relationship with God, and then how I treat people around me is based on the love I feel from that. And then I also write my songs from that very real place as well. For me, it was never just something static. It was something that actually affects my life, and going through the ups and downs of life, going through struggles, that just being honest in my lyrics about that. So I always felt like it was just one of my most honest points of sharing, because it was such a grounding relationship for me to navigate this world that we are in, for sure.
No, and that's totally, but so it's always been a part of you then in that way.
Yeah.
And because on your website, again, it mentions that your name means give praise to God, right?
Yeah, literally, quite literally.
Amazing. Yeah. Very like on the nose, I love it.
Yeah.
But it says you've been doing that since the age of 2, because it's always been there. But I want to know, put me in your shoes at 2. How does that come to be? Yeah,
for sure. So my name, for those of you who aren't Nigerian, it's like a whole sentence in like a name. So yeah, my dad gave me that name, give praise to God, which kind of ended up, I guess, foreshadowing a lot of my life in some ways. And then my parents raised me on this like gospel music. They used to play like a lot of Ron Canali videos for me when I was little, and it would just be like this live like jamming bands, like big band situation. Saxophone players, trumpet players, bass players, just having a lot of fun on stage. And I would watch that like every day as a toddler. So I wasn't really watching a lot of kids shows. I was actually watching like real musicians. It was a little different. And those songs stuck with me. And then throughout my life, just any time I was exposed to, especially like the funkier side of music, that really gravitated towards me. So like I remember up until like 9-ish, my uncle, Kenny, he moved to Saskatoon. So he is my mom's youngest sibling. He's a twin. They're 12 years apart. So he came here for university, stayed with my family at the time, and he had a whole band and situation. He's a drummer, songwriter, and he was noticing I was writing songs. And he also like introduced me to like other artists like Kirk Franklin, Mary, like just those records. And that really kind of that fun, like again, funky sounding music really stayed with me. So I was like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna write music, it's gonna be more like this. This feels more real to me. And more just inviting and fun. And that was really kind of the journey for me as a songwriter. I remember just trying to pen things at night, and he would just go like, hey, you got some good stuff. Let's actually try and work on this. So he would have me like going to studios with his grown friends. And I'd be like this like 9 or 10-year-old, and they'd be like, hey, we gotta check out Fiyin's song. Let's see if we can actually play it. And I'd just be like, okay. And they'd be like, man, this is good. So he was really one of the first music mentors, I guess, in my life who really saw something. And then, I think I had like a pretty like windy music journey otherwise, because aside from that, and like I had experience with choirs, so I'd be like gospel choirs, then especially at church I'd be in gospel choir. Then it's high school, I was in like, choir, band, vocal jazz. That was a huge thing. In grade 9, I had a teacher who noticed the style of my singing, and she's like, oh, I need you to listen to Ella Fitzgerald. So she gave me like an Ella Fitzgerald record to like really dive into. She's like, I need you to study this artist. And I remember I was on the vocal jazz group. I was one of the youngest people that got recruited on that team. And that was also another music exposure, because vocal jazz is so intricate with the harmonies and everything. And then also musical theater, which was just part of my high school. I went to St. Joe's, so musical theater was a huge part of that high school.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up going to Canadian College of Performing Arts for 2 years as well, which was like a fully musical theater program. And I think in that, I just got exposed to arts in so many angles. Going through that though, I did realize I don't think I'm a musical theater performer. I think I'm more of an artist. And I think of music very collectively, very communally, which I love about jazz. I just felt like, just working together as a team to create it versus kind of having that competition was a little bit more of my style and vibe. So I've had so many influences over the years through music. And then how do I tie that into, again, my interpretation of music? And like you said, my interpretation of exploring faith through music. It's going to come from so many angles and lived experiences for sure.
I love that. I hear so much of like, it's very much like the musician pipeline through your life, right? You were definitely, but did you always know that that's where you wanted to end up?
For music?
Yeah.
No, like the funny thing is, if you asked me when I was like 7 or 8, I'd be like, my dream is to be a gymnast. Like, that was actually it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna go to the Olympics and I'm gonna be like gymnastics. And I was like hyper focused on that. And that's why it's funny now seeing Simone Biles and all these people like, that was gonna be me. But I remember I got to take it pretty late. And then they're like, yeah, you're 12, you're already a little old for this. So, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll look at my other giftings. And I'm like, I do have this music thing. And then obviously now I think it makes the most sense for me. Another thing music has also been is like an outlet. It's been very like therapeutic. It's been a way to process emotions that were hard for me to process, especially when I was younger and pre-therapy, right? It was kind of like my personal therapy.
Love it.
Of just be like, oh, I'm having this hard feeling. Let me write a song about it. Let me like express and like work through it. So it's been such a gift to my life. And then when I get to share it with others, it's been a while to see how they interpret it too, especially the original songs. That people are like, oh, that really like got me, or I really love that. Or so there's the joy, there's the sadness, there's like all the things in between and how people are connecting with that. It's really, it's really interesting to me. Yeah, how communal it can really be.
Yeah, and because you mentioned community, and you had your first debut full performance at the Nutrient Stage at Sask Jazz, like formerly the SaskTel Saskatchewan Jazz Festival back in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know, because it's one of arguably the premier music festivals in Saskatchewan. Put us in your shoes at that time. Like, you've spent your whole childhood and your youth building up to this.
Yeah.
What are you thinking and what are you feeling before you take the stage?
Yeah, that was a pretty wild experience, to be honest, because I had, so when I came back and did university here, I did my major in marketing, my minor in jazz music, and I was singing with the U of S Jazz Band. So I would always be singing with them and Dean McNeil, who I'm still pretty close to now, the only jazz prof there. And then what I noticed was, I started just having these small pockets of exposure to jazz festival because of that. So I'd maybe sing a song or two with that band, or maybe Dave Nelson, his band would go want me to sing a song or two, or another artist. So when I finally, I think around the time I graduated, I was like, oh, let me just apply with myself and see what happens. And honestly, that's what happened. And I didn't know I would get in like that. And back then the free stage used to be in Friendship Park. And so it was like a whole stage. And I was like, man, I hope people show up. And and it was like a decent turnout too. And all sorts of people came. And that was special too, because at the time, the band I had assembled, who I play with a lot of them today, actually. So I'm very close to them. It's like Udoka, we got David. I used to play with Josiah, and now he's got a drum school, so he's like teaching so many students. But he taught my now drummer Yadak, and then who else? His brother Sam Gibson, who plays guitar. And we just went out and did that. And for some of them, that was actually their first time doing like a big stage performance. And we kind of just recruited each other. I was like, hey, I saw you playing on Instagram. I think you'll be good. Like, do you want to do this stuff? And it ended up being such an amazing experience. We still have it on video on my YouTube. And that kind of kicked off us playing as a band in multiple places. And I believe yeah, since then I've at least done Jazz Fest 3 times, but also different stage shows, and started to produce some of my own shows as well, which people came to as well. So it was like really like kind of legitimizing for me, like, okay, I have something, people want to see it, and I can really keep putting it out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about something that I've always found fascinating about the music industry, which is how important the community is in it, right? Like you said, you sort of assemble this band.
Yeah.
But I want to hear that from, like, how important do you find is your community, the music community in general, for your practice and your
Yeah, I think it is super important, because I think at the heart of it, it's like, why are we creating the music we create? Like, in my case, definitely I want to encourage, I want to uplift, I want to bring joy, I want to share. And just having been in environments where music, you know, kind of can get competitive to the point where people forget the why of why you're doing it. Like, are you just there to see yourself? Are you there to create impact? I think music has such a way of bringing so much healing to people. Like, I've heard songs that have literally helped me like walk through things and heal through things. And so I just feel personally like that music at its core that has the most impact is about the people, is about who you're trying to reach, even if it's one person through that song. And then, same thing, like, I don't know, I kind of, and if you've been to any of my shows, I think you've been to one, actually, yeah, you've been to that, like, I try to get the audience engaged, I try to like make it like almost like this family experience, because I want people to walk away like, oh, that felt so good at the end of the day. And I think the same thing with my band. One thing that's been so special about it is, yeah, like you said, it was like a communal effort to get them. It was people I knew were good at playing, but maybe they were too shy to actually put themselves out there before. And even since, some of my bandmates, I've been able to recommend them to other people, and they've been able to really expand. And I just really believe in, like, when I see talent, like, how can we all come together? How can we have fun? Like, our rehearsals are very fun. It's just the enjoyment of the art itself. And so I think when artists kind of lose that, which is not easy to do in the industry, because there's also the hustle side, but I think when artists kind of lose like their why, like why they're there, and they don't want to connect with people, it's just the joy will get sucked out pretty quickly. You can kind of tell when that happens. So yeah.
And what is your why?
So my why is that I really feel like music can heal people, music can transform people, music can encourage people, music can give language to people when they need something to walk through a particular season in their life. At least that's definitely what it's done for me. And because of that, because of the impact of that, I want to give that to other people. So really my why behind my music is that I'm making music that encourages people, becomes a connection point for them, in their faith, as well as just what they're walking through in their emotional journey, so that they're having a good time, but they're also like kind of finding that comfort that they need, that almost that therapeutic journey that they need through the music as well. And lots of music has done that for me, so that'd be a big why.
Yeah, of course. And you touched on it already, but I want to ask around your performances, right? You know, whether that's continued performances at Sask Jazz or your recent show at the Pancake House, which you mentioned, which you killed, by the way, back in December.
So fun.
Some folks I have heard in the past feel they maybe have to like leave Saskatchewan, go to Toronto or Vancouver to build careers in the music industry. What would you say to them?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think there are challenges definitely with either like place, you know. I would say that what I love about especially Saskatchewan's music community and Saskatoon's music community is I feel they are actually a very supportive music community. Like when I think of even the Pancake House, one of the things I loved about it was I saw other artists that were there, like other rappers in town, other singers in town that I knew in other bands that genuinely came to support across different genres of music, by the way. And they were like genuinely like, yeah, girl, you're doing your thing. And I just love that, like that we have a community where if people see you actually creating art, especially in this province, like they want to, you know, cheer you on, because it's just nice to have something like that brought here. So I feel like with Saskatchewan, it's more of an environment where people almost have to create because it's not always there, but people are hungry for it. So it's a very unique space to be in. I think for bigger cities, of course, lots of opportunities. And then, of course, you're going against a lot of people for those opportunities.
Yeah.
So what's making you stick out? That's what I think is very interesting about the arts community here. So I would say it's like a mix. Here, if you want to be able to produce your own shows, like book a space, invite people, you can start to build stuff. Of course, if you need to make specific industry connections, maybe with a label, different areas, and depending on your genre of music, certain cities might be easier or better, like Toronto, but it's not always a one size fits all, I think. And I think people don't always realize the arts opportunities here. I would even say, and not just because I'm in the interview with them, but like Sask Music has been super encouraging to artists, I feel, even locally. Like they're like, hey, there's this opportunity, or hey, there's this, like, have you thought of this? And they'll email you, they'll check on you. So I think when I've talked to some of my artist friends in like Ontario or some of the other cities, they don't even get followed by their music agency like that or their association like that. So, and sometimes they're like, oh, I didn't know something like that exists. So I think it's also like just knowing people within the spaces you're in. But I do have artist friends who live there and who have lived here and can like compare both, and it really just depends. So, but that's one thing, big thing with Saskatchewan is like, I think the opportunity here is to create. In a more easy way, I think, than you could in a bigger city.
No, that's fair. Absolutely. And I want to talk, we've talked a little bit about your performances. I want to talk about your music that you write yourself, right? You know, you've mentioned many different influences. On your website, you mentioned Mary Mary, Ella Fitzgerald, you know, Beyonce, Amber Mark. Tell me, I want to hear about your music. Like why, like where do you draw your influences from?
Yeah, for sure. I think like, I'm trying to think very like hit different sides of what you're talking about. So yeah, I already mentioned from my own like philosophical, emotional, spiritual side, it's usually my lived experiences. It's usually like a question I've had, or maybe a feeling I've been wrestling with, or just like, like just trying to like find the words for something and then writing it down and like processing it. For me, I see a lot of my music as processing and then talking to God about it. Be like, this is what I'm processing. Like, here's my raw emotions about this thing. And that's, and it comes out in different ways musically. Then from a musical aspect, I am influenced by loads of good music. So I listen to NPR music. I listen to Colors, based in Berlin, and they show all sorts of artists from all over the world. And I like hearing like musically, like what's going on from different genres as well. I will say there's genres I'm more drawn to. Like I won't say I listen to a ton of country, even though I grew up in Saskatchewan, I won't. But I mean, every once in a while there's an artist that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can rock with that a little bit. Yeah, or like, you know, not always listening to rock, but there are some rock artists I like. But I will try and like really listen to the musicality. So that's why I have such a range in there. Like Amber Mark, for example, isn't necessarily a gospel artist, but like she really sings through like emotions, and like some of her songs really hit like from a lyrical perspective, but she also tries really cool things with her sound. So I really like hearing artists that are also, I guess not as commercial, like kind of underground, who very experiment with their music. I love Tom Midge, FKJ as well, because they really produce, and I just love hearing the creativity brought out in music. So I think I also try to bring that to the genre as well, to kind of expand the genre. So that's why I kind of put like a gospel, jazz, neo soul, because I feel like these are like cool sounds that can also be in my genre of music as well.
And we obviously have to acknowledge that it's Black History Month. And so what does it mean for you to be a Black musician in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. Like, I think it's cool to have a presence here and be like, there is a story here. There is, you know, people who listen to like these sounds. I think even when I talk to my friends in other provinces, when they think of Saskatchewan, they do think purely like, you know, country artists or rock artists, or white even, right? And not there's anything wrong with being white, but one of the funny things I remember meeting people in an Explore program for French in Quebec and saying like, I'm from Saskatchewan, and it was all these Black girls from Toronto. They're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? They're like, they were genuinely concerned. That was their reaction. And they're like, oh my gosh, are there any Black people out there? Like, are you okay? And it was just like this kind of like interesting interpretation of what the province looks like, yet there is like a bunch of us here, right? And those stories aren't always seen or told or shared. So I think being a Black artist and doing what I do kind of gives visibility to like, oh yeah, these people exist in this province, you know? And I've been told many times on the plane, I don't look like I'm from this province. I look like I'm either from Calgary or Toronto, or you know, some people thought I was from New York, and it's like, actually, like there are people here, but people haven't seen that, or maybe it hasn't been showcased enough for them to realize there is like such a, even Saskatoon has such an urban music culture going on here, urban dance even, right? Like hip hop dance, like there's so much coming out of here. So I think it's really interesting people's stereotypes about the place, and it just needs more narratives to feed that, I think.
I get the New York vibes. You give.
Okay. I've never been, but
It's the style. It's the style. But visibility is important, right? For younger artists and for emerging folk. What would you say to them who perhaps are looking up to you?
Oh, well, first of all, if I found out the younger artists were looking up to, I'd be very flattered, to be honest. And I'd be very honored just because I didn't see a lot of that, you know? Like when you're talking about Jazz Fest, when I think about it, even growing up here, I didn't really go to Jazz Fest a lot as a kid. I got more involved as an adult, started volunteering. And I don't think I remember, aside from the guest artists they would bring in, like Macy Gray and all that, I don't remember seeing a lot of local Black artists like on stage. So I think that visibility is important, and to tell them like, just keep putting yourself in those spaces and believe that you're meant to be there, and connect with the community and people who want to push you in those spaces as well. That's definitely what I would tell them. But definitely if it helps them in any way, I'd be honored to be part of that journey.
And you have all this momentum. You've done so many wonderful things as a musician and as an artist in Saskatoon. What is next, do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been trying to actually apply for other jazz festivals, even beyond the province. And then even in other parts of the world. So hopefully those go through. I'm waiting to hear back. But I'd really like to keep producing music, and expanding where I perform, especially because I have such a unique genre, being like gospel jazz. Jazz is already quite niche, so I try to find those other avenues where I can really showcase that.
Amazing. And in the last couple of minutes, what are some closing thoughts or comments that maybe I missed, or something do you want to share with the audience that is listening in?
Just grateful to you guys, Sask Music, for hosting this. I think it's really awesome that you're giving platform to Black artists in our province, and even getting to see the actual evidence, intention of putting us all together, and even with the staff. I think it's really important. I've seen I've seen a lot of effort even in this province to really showcase our community, and it's not taken lightly. Like, we are really grateful for that. So we know that we'll just keep going, and really honored to be here. So
I appreciate you so much. This has been wonderful. We're joined here today with Fiyin as Sask Music celebrates Black History Month 2026 with conversations with some exceptional Saskatoon musicians. To learn more about the support that Sask Music offers across the province, you can visit their website at www.saskmusic.org. Thank you so much, Fiyin.
Thank you.